No, no. Yeah. Even though.
Call to order the July 15th meeting of the Conestoga Valley Board of School Directors. I want to welcome everyone that's here, as well as those that are watching us online. And will you please join me for the pledge of the flag? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Martin, do we have attendance, please?
We have 8 school board directors present tonight with Dr. Diane Martin absent.
Okay, so we have a quorum. This is our only meeting of the month. It is our first meeting, actually, of the 24-25 school year. So we will have a consent agenda as well as a full action discussion agenda this evening. Our agendas and all attachments are available on our website along with our board updates. Are there any changes to the agenda, any action, any additions or deletions that we have to?
Yes, there were a couple today. The budget update presentation was posted today. The superintendent's report has 3 additions since Friday. They are all noted in red. And the Act 93 agreements scheduled for approval was deleted from the agenda
Did you
today.
repeat the first one you said?
The budget update presentation,
State budget update.
the state budget update, that was just, the presentation was just attached today.
Oh, just attached to that. Okay, so that was already on the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, could I have a motion for the agenda, please?
Motion to approve the agenda?
So moved, or second, sorry. It's been a while.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Feel
nays or
rusty.
abstentions? Look, it's hard to have any one motion without 2 at once. Superintendent's comments. Dr. Hartman, the floor is yours.
Sure, good evening. Bear with me, it's gonna be a long one this evening,
Oh,
but for good reason. So we have quite a few new staff to introduce this evening, and I have a few other updates for the board. First, I'd like to introduce our new staff. I'd like to start with Katie Bradenbridge. Is Katie here? Katie, there you are. So Katie's gonna be a learning support teacher at Fritz. She spent the past 3 years teaching special education in Ohio, and she has also worked in the nonprofit industry prior to becoming a teacher. She has a bachelor's of science in child and family studies from Ohio University, a master's in nonprofit management and philanthropy from Bay Path University, and a master's of education from Ohio University. So a lot of great experience. So welcome, Katie. Next, we have Colleen Gilbert. Good evening, Colleen. Colleen is going to be an autistic support teacher at Brownstown. Colleen has her bachelor's in early childhood and special education from Kutztown University. During this past year, she completed her student teaching in both the Wyomissing and Fleetwood area school districts. At Kutztown, she was on the Dean's List, part of the University Honors Program, a PSAC Scholar Athlete, a National College Athlete Honor Society member, and received the Board of Governors Scholarship. So, welcome, Colleen. All right, next we have Amy Stolfus, who's joining us as a music teacher at Leola. Hi, Amy. So, Amy began her career as a music teacher in Fort Meade, Maryland, but has been teaching general music and chorus since 2015 in the Southeastern School District. She has a bachelor's of music education from Westchester University and a master's of education from LaSalle University. She also serves as the children's chorus director at her church. So, welcome, Amy. Nicholas Kroger. There's Nick. Welcome, Nick. Nick is going to be one of our new school psychologists. He's going to be serving Fritz in Smoketown Elementary. Nicholas has a bachelor's of arts in psychology and theology from Duquesne University, a master's in school psychology from IUP, and is currently working on a doctorate of philosophy in school psychology from IUP. He completed a school psychologist internship with the Derry Township School District and has worked as a school psychologist for the past 2 years in the Southwestern School District. Welcome, Nicholas. Trent Zuck. Trent's going to be a 4th grade teacher at Fritz. Trent has taught in the Octorara School District since 2014, where he's also served as a varsity soccer coach. Since 2022, he has been in the role of a math interventionist. His bachelor's in elementary education is from Bloomsburg University, and he holds a master's in education with a minor in 21st century teaching strategies from LaSalle University. Welcome. All right, Caitlin Kirby.
Hello.
Caitlin is a familiar name and face for us. Caitlin's going to be joining us as a 3rd grade teacher at Fritz, but she's also been a long-term substitute this past year at Fritz. And she also student taught with us prior to that. And now we're excited to make her a permanent part of our team. She graduated from Lancaster Bible College in 2022 with a bachelor's in early childhood education. So, welcome back. All right. Next, Stephanie Safrizi. Did I say that right?
It's freezing.
Safrizi? Okay. Stephanie has been a special education teacher with IU 13 since 2016. She holds a bachelor's degree from Frostburg State University and 2 masters of education degrees from Millersville University, as well as her postmaster's principal certification program. She's completed or working on, I'm not quite sure.
Completed, just waiting for our praxis results.
Awesome, so almost there. So welcome, Stephanie. Elena Prizwara. Hi, Elena. Elena's going to be an ESL teacher at the middle school. She received her bachelor's degree in both her citizenship education and ESL program specialist certifications from Susquehanna University in 2022. She also has her expert in TEFL certification from the International University of Catalonia in Barcelona, Spain. One more, she also is joining us. She was a teacher this past year, an ESL teacher at Garden Spot Middle School and High School. So nice to steal someone from our neighbor.
Why not?
So Valerie Kaufman. Valerie has a variety of experience working for different organizations throughout Lancaster County as an administrative assistant and an event coordinator. Notably, she also has experience working in schools as she at one time worked as the administrative assistant and building aide with the Pequea Valley School District. She has also served as a Strengthening Families parent and youth facilitator with Pequea Valley and has served as a youth leader at her church. She attended Thomas Nelson Community College in Virginia, and she's going to be joining us as the new face of Fritz Elementary as the new administrative assistant there. So, welcome. And next we have Keith Stokes.
Hello.
Keith is going to be an intervention support specialist at the middle school, which before I give you a little bit about Keith's background, I just want to share, for those of you, that position description is on the board agenda this evening. I believe we talked about it previously, just part of our plan with PBIS, really taking some of our para positions that we have through SOSL and reducing them and adding a district position, so kind of offset that, but that will focus on behavior intervention with students. So Keith has a bachelor's in communications with a minor in education from East Carolina University. He brings a vast amount of experience working with youth, both in a professional capacity and as a coach. He has previously worked as a behavior specialist at the Bureau Alternative Education School in the School District of Lancaster. He was a team leader at Abraxas Academy Youth Detention Center, a case manager at Hope's Haven Group Home, and life coach with Water Street Mission. And most recently, he has served as Dean of Students with the Elizabethtown Area School District and is also currently the head varsity football coach at Elizabethtown, I believe. So welcome, Keith. And that's all 9 of our new staff members and team members to introduce. So a few other announcements. I did want to just bring the board's attention. We talked about it as an action discussion item in our previous board meeting in June, but we do have the student handbook on. As discussed previously, there have been several updates based on some of the things we discussed in the code of conduct, and also the district PBIS leadership team, which is made up of administrators, teachers, other community members throughout the district, also took a look at our student dress code and made some changes, really modernizing it based on some recommendations that came from SPEC, which is the organization we work with for PBIS, also recommendations out of the equity audit, just kind of bringing it up to speed, make sure it's equitable, it's not discriminatory in any way, it's dressing, student dress in a way that's not, making rules that are fair for one group of students and unfair for another group of students, et
Do
cetera.
we have student input on that dress code?
I'll lean on the PBIS team to share anything else they want to about that and talk about student input if there was any.
During our meeting that we had with the entire district leadership team, and then we had some additional administrators serve as part of that, we didn't have any students in that location.
That would have been interesting. Get up and wearing cutoffs and t-shirts.
And then finally, thanks, we won't have another board meeting before the opening ceremonies of the Olympics, I believe. I think we just have to announce positive that CV, we have a CV alum who's gonna be participating in the Paris Olympics this summer. So many of you are probably already aware of that, but in case you're not, Casey Kaufhold, who is currently the world's #1 ranked women's archer, will be representing Team USA, and representing CV. And I believe, I don't know the exact date or time, but I believe East Lampeter Township is having a meet and greet or a special event for her at some point coming out. You might wanna check out. So
That's cool.
and it will all be rooting her on. So that concludes my report this evening.
I am constantly impressed with the depth and variety of the background, the educators that we bring in. They make me feel like an underachiever when you read some of it, and the ones that don't show up here looking like they're high school students, not teachers, but that may just be my perspective. Okay, are there any board comments from recent activities? I guess it's been pretty quiet this past month. Mrs. Martin, do we have any correspondence?
We do not.
Was that a no?
We do not.
Okay. This is the first time in our meeting where we allow the public that would like to address the board to any item that's on the agenda. Is there anyone that would like to be recognized? If not, is there anyone from CVEA that would like to speak to the board? No? Or any other employee groups? If not, we'll move on to the consent agenda, but before we take a motion, I want to bring your attention to policy 903. We did add the timing for individuals, groups, and anyone that wants on the agenda. I finally found a hard copy of that old policy. The only thing I did not include, that I just realized also was taken out, was a section that specifically addressed staff's right to address the board if they are also a parent and what their limitations are. That was also taken out. I can put that back in if you want to approve it, and then that would still be a first reading. But we had at one point felt we needed to be specific about the rights of parents who are also faculty members or employees, and also the limits for how teachers are supposed, or faculty members in particular, are supposed to take concerns through the union. So there was a section that specifically addressed that, and if you want that back in, I can put it back in. I could not send it to you because all I had was hard copy, and there was no one around to run a scan for me. Is that an issue that you think you'd like in, where you want to, or do you want me to make a copy of that and send it to you, consider it for next month? Just tell me what you want to do.
I can't see it being an issue,
No, when that was added,
right?
it had been an issue, so we felt we had to address it. But it's still, even though it's not written in policy, it's still our procedure.
Yeah.
That doesn't change.
Yeah.
Okay, then if not, I will take a motion to approve consent agenda items A through J.
Make a motion to approve consent agenda items A through J.
Second.
Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Mrs. Fisher?
Aye.
Mr. Hurst?
Aye.
Mrs. Kapka? Aye. Mr. Talley?
Aye.
Mr. Gensel?
Aye.
Mr. Eby?
Aye.
Ms. Trowbridge?
Aye.
Mrs. Crawl?
Aye.
I did have a question.
Yes,
The overnight student trip,
yes.
was that already held or is that for next year, May?
It's next year. Next year, yeah, that's an annual trip they do.
We'll need to change the 2024 to 2025.
I didn't even catch that.
We can change that. That's a clerical.
And I think also, again, we've talked about the possibility of having a standard application. This was an excellent application. I mean, everything we need to know is in there, including number of chaperones, how it's being paid, what the rules are, behavior rules. That's the way we used to get them, and I'd like to see everyone be following that same thing. Any other concerns on that? Then we will move to the action discussion agenda and start off with the budget update.
Oh, don't leave.
Budget, everybody leaves.
I always said they can leave if we take names.
I could really empty a room, I didn't even get started. Jeez.
We had to see the budget.
Yeah.
So sometimes you're lucky we stay to listen.
Oh. Yeah, I'd really get worried when all of you get up and leave. Okay, so I'm sure you all know that late Thursday evening, the Pennsylvania state budget was passed, and we have been kind of poring over the information, trying to read all of it, get answers to our questions. I do have a webinar scheduled with PASBO, Pennsylvania Association of School Business Officials, tomorrow afternoon, so hopefully I'll get more information from them. But first I wanted to start with just some of the state highlights. They put a lot of money into the basic ed subsidy based on the funding commission as well, and using their formula. But if you remember back during the budget process, I had said that when we're looking at budgeting for our basic education subsidy, there was the adequacy supplement that was based on the governor's proposed budget was included in the basic ed subsidy. This budget has moved it out of basic ed subsidy and put it with Ready to Learn block grant monies. The reason they did that, I believe, is because with Ready to Learn monies, it's still money that we can use, but it's tied to certain restrictions. We can't just get this additional subsidy and say, oh, let's put in a new turf field. We have to tie it to educational needs. So I'll be working with Cabinet, of course, over the next couple of weeks to identify, and I think it'll be fairly simple to say, hey, this is what we can use these monies for. We report to the state and file, reports with them throughout the year. So that was big, and also a new subsidy this year in the basic ed funding is about $60 million went in for the state for a hold harmless relief supplement. So that is new. I'm again waiting for the webinar tomorrow to find out more about it, if there's any ties or restrictions to the use of those funds. We talked about the Ready to Learn block grant, special education subsidy. They did increase the amount of money going into that formula. Originally, they were going to add $50 million on top of what we got last year. Instead, this year they added $100 million. It still doesn't quite bridge that gap for us with special education costs rising. This is, I'm very interested in reading more about this, but the cyber charter tuition reimbursement, they are looking at working on some cyber reforms, and there's going to be more to come on that. But if what I've read, it looks like this charter tuition reimbursement is a proportional pro rata share of what our district pays for the special education tuition. So that's a step in the right direction too. So I think Don and I will come back to you at some point when we get more information about this, since this has a large impact on our budget. And then there's also the mental and physical health safety grant. So that's all well and good, but if you're like me, you're wanting to know, like, what's this mean for CV? So when we were budgeting, we knew that there was just the proposed budget had some very large amounts tied into the basic ed subsidy, and we took a middle of the road approach. We budgeted only 50% of that. We got that plus more through all of this. So our total for our basic education subsidy actually is less than what my budget report showed, because of switching that adequacy down to Ready to Learn. Under Ready to Learn, the adequacy supplement that we're getting is $1.4 million. That's the one that has some strings tied to it. Special education subsidy, we're getting just an additional $50,000 or so. The cyber charter reimbursement, it's $106,000, $107,000 more. And then school safety, they're showing that we should be getting about $173,000, $174,000 more. CV out of the Lancaster County school districts received the largest increase in the basic ed subsidy in the county. Our increase was 13.34, and another school district, Manheim Township, had a 10% increase. So we fared very well. So for all those years where our funding has been on the lower side, we're starting to hopefully recognize that the challenge is going to be going forward, how much money is going to be going into public education, but that seems to be a very popular area that legislators want to support. Just to put things in perspective for you as well, for 23-24 year, these subsidies that we budgeted for and actually received in 23-24, the new state budget for 24-25 is increasing our overall subsidy by a total of $2.8 million. So now we have another really big challenge because we're receiving more than what we anticipated, and we talked about this before. We need to come up with a game plan how we want to handle this because we have some of these new positions, existing positions, and this adequacy supplement can be used to maintain, enhance, or add to an existing program. So we're not tied in that it has to be all for new positions or new educational opportunities. So what we are doing now is saying, originally we're going to pay for this out of our non-grant monies, and now we've got grant subsidies tied to it. What are we going to do with this overage now? So we as Cabinet will be talking about that in the next couple of weeks and coming back to you for some discussions about that, and certainly always open to any thoughts or suggestions that you have as well.
I have no problem with you tying it, this money to educational
Right.
purposes.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, that, to me, that's not a problem, it's almost a no-brainer. I had the summary list of programs that they did. There is even better news on the cyber school.
Oh, yeah.
They are now required to sign an ethics agreement. They are no longer allowed to have a conflict of interest. Some of you may remember that when we looked at the last people that tried to have us approve one, they wanted to have in their bylaws specifically that they were allowed to give contracts to their own board members. They can't. There were a lot of tightening up on that. It's going to be the ability to look much closer at what's happening to their money and their reserves. It go enormously. What kind of salaries they're paying their administrators. It's getting there slowly. The sad part of a lot of this is, well, we get money enhanced one place. This is just 1 year.
Exactly.
There's no
No
problem.
guarantee.
Next year, it'll be the same fight with the rest of the issues. But there's also the fact that they increased what do they call them? The educational scholarship improvement
Oh, yes,
funds.
yeah.
That is money that never gets to the state and goes directly to private schools, and that got a very generous increase this year too. Unless we can convince them to pull some of that money back, it's going to be a fight again next year for some of this money.
Right.
But we're getting there slowly but surely.
And just to dovetail on what you were talking about with the cyber charter schools, one of the requirements now are that each public school entity or other entity must report to PDE the amount of the total expenditures for media paid advertising.
Yeah.
And it also must indicate when they're making the advertisement about cyber charter schools, that it's the cost of the cyber tuition is covered by taxpayer money.
They can no longer
Say it's free. Yeah.
At least that, the next step is to require that anyone that applies to switch be given the achievement level of that school.
Right.
I have no problem with choice,
I don't
as
either,
long
right.
as it means better.
Mhm.
But that's the next step.
Can we put some of this on our debt for all the construction projects?
We can. Again, since this subsidy is freeing up
Right.
our general fund, non-grant money, that's certainly an option.
Yeah.
That we can put it towards our debt, transfer it into capital reserve, to the construction fund. Looking down the road, I'm working, I have a running budget, kind of the 30,000-foot view right now as to what monies we have available and how long that's going to take us through the Leola project. It'll take us through Leola, but then we're going to have to borrow at some point for Fritz. So this could be something we could start building towards as well,
Yeah, because.
especially with rates being kind of higher.
Yeah, cash flowing a project would be fantastic,
Yes,
tuck it away.
And I'm sure there is a department head the curriculum director, that Tim gives an entire list of programs that we should be putting this money towards. Yeah, I'm a little concerned about special ed.
Mhm. Yes,
The amount of money was like 5% increase, while costs are going up 10 to 15%.
Mhm.
But we seem to be getting farther behind instead of ahead in special ed funding.
Right.
That's problematic. Do I have that number right? They gave a 5% increase. Sometimes it's spread over a couple different programs.
yeah, what I have did not give a percentage increase for special education, it just said it increased 100 million
It
over.
shows up different places in the budget, but it
Yeah.
was, the general one was 5%. And I know places like the IU, which handles so much in special ed, just can't keep up, and I know we can't.
Right, that's definitely a challenge.
Any questions for Mrs. Huntsman?
Fantastic, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for staying.
Welcome anytime you bring us good news.
Yes, that, I was reading this Thursday night and I had my breath held. Then I could take a sigh of relief.
Okay, banking and investment services, Mrs. Spataro.
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
All right. So this presentation is just to kind of go over the banking services that we have and the investments that we're doing with the district. So this first page is talking about the banks that we use, Pliget, Pislav, Orstown, and Fulton Bank. The Pliget, we have the investments, the scholarship accounts, and we have the construction fund checking account. For Pislav, we use the investment accounts there, as well as some scholarship accounts. Orstown, that's our usual operating checking account bank there. And then with Fulton, we have 4 accounts there, which is food service, and then 3 SBA accounts for operations, so. Next slide is just talking a little bit about our investments. So PA School Code, section 441, permitted investments, which is your, direct obligation, U.S. government, obligations, U.S. agencies, CDs, local government investment pools. And basically what it's saying there is that our policy coincides with that code, so. So safety and security. So one of the nice features about, having the banks that we use is, it helps protect us, has some secure measures to it, some safety features to it. So obviously with our investment policy, we don't permit that investments allowed by Act 10 of 2016, so not as risky. All banks are properly collateralized by obligation of U.S. government. We have some fraud protection services such as positive pay, and then also dual authentication when you're logging on. And there's even sometimes too where if I, initiate a transaction, the bank will reach out to me and say, hey, did you do that? I'll say, yeah, So it's some nice, follow-up features there. And then, obviously we have our internal control policies and procedures related to, our banking, charge requests for employees and vendors, so. So this next slide kind of talks about the other policy, the other alternative route, which is the Act 10 of 2016, which includes those permitted by PA School Code, the additional investments of commercial paper, negotiable CDs, and so forth there. And to kind of show the two on the next slide here, you can kind of see the exchange of the risk and this, or the safety, if you will, and the yield. So the Act 10, the yield is a little higher, but you're sacrificing the safety part, which is, vital. So that's why we kind of stay on the PA School Code side of section 440.1 there. And then these last couple slides here, I just did a revenue cash flow for our district, and here you'll see, the large revenues at the beginning is because our collections for real estate. So you get a majority of that there in the late summer, fall there. And then the expenditures cash flow. So this is pretty neat. You can see all the different cash flows that we have for the district, and the big one is your payroll. And the reason why it kind of goes up at the end is kind of payroll payables for those folks that want to be paid prior to the summer end. And the yellow is our debt, so that's our scheduled payments that we do throughout the year, 2 times a year. So that's the yellow ones there. And then the final slide is just kind of showing the history of our interest rates. And you know, we're in a good period right now. Interest rates are high. And, you know, we had a down period there back in 2020, 2021, but right now they're kind of trending on the higher side. So it's kind of where we're at for an interest rate piece, yeah. So that's all I got. So,
Questions or comments?
Looks good.
thank you.
You need some
He only comes
feedback.
when he has good things to tell.
Yeah, exactly. We appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, our next item is the reviewing of the Title I plans. If I'm correct, we have, 3 Title I schools, the middle school, Fritz and Neola. So we have, Mrs. Metzinger, Dr. May, and Dr. Tozer. I'm sorry, Dr. Metzinger isn't, I apologize. Oh no, that's important, you worked hard for it.
So good evening. We are giving you our preliminary draft presentation tonight of the Huskin Middle School school-wide plan. So a couple of things. I'll set up the context because I oversee the federal programs piece of things, and then Dr. Metzinger and Dr. Mann will talk to you a little bit about what's in the plan. Process-wise, because the middle school is a school-wide Title I school based on the percentage of free and reduced lunch in the building, one of the things that all of our Title I buildings have to do is submit an annual plan that focuses on the strategies, the resources, what we're gonna do to make sure that we continue to grow and improve on our student growth and achievement. The middle school has to get theirs board approved. We publicly present and have the board approve it. And there's a 1-month period of public review where the parents, stakeholders can give input. Because of that targeted support and intervention, the TSI designation that we have at the middle school. So tonight is your first look as a board, and then we will put this up on the website tomorrow for any stakeholders to look at the draft documents. And then there's a Google form that people can provide input and feedback, or they can email or set up an appointment with Dr. Metzinger. So that will stay for 30 days. Then the board meeting, August 19th, would be the meeting that we would share any updates, new feedback we received, changes we made, and then we would ask for school board approval so we can get everything uploaded to the state by September 1st. The other building plans don't require board approval, but in August, we always give you a summary sheet of the schools and what they're focusing on and what their action steps are. So we like to keep the board in the loop with their goals for improvement. So tonight is first look. Make sure the board's in the loop before it goes out to the public. And then we circle back with a little bit more depth and detail in August for you. Okay?
Okay, so we had the opportunity to meet as our school improvement team, which is it's a rather large group. We're about 15, and that consists of teacher specialists, parents, community members. And we were able to look at where we ended our school year and our plan from last year, and then discuss where we want it to go for next year. So what we have up here is we created a summary document, which basically pulls out the really big pieces from our plan. The other document is 30-some pages. So this is our big priority areas, and you'll see on this document are which essential practice, which is recommended from the Department of Education for school improvement, our priority statements, and then our data, our goal, and what our action steps are going to be. So right on the screen there is our first priority area. That's connected to essential practice 3. That is a practice that we followed last year, but we've decided to take it on again and add on an additional layer. So our priority will be assessments to monitor student learning and adjust our programming as needed, and really focusing on our instructional practices. So we have our data outlined there per our subgroups, and then our goal, and you can see at the bottom, these are going to be our action steps and which member of the team is going to own or champion those action steps. The second priority is related to PBIS. This is a district initiative. We had that priority area as well last year, but again, adding on and connecting to Essential Practice 12, which is the evidence-based system of school-wide positive behavior interventions and supports. We have our goal, and we're really ready to take it up to the next level, especially after reaching Tier 1 fidelity last year at the middle school. So again, you'll see our data, our goal statement outlined by quarter, and then our action steps and who's going to be championing that area. And our last priority area is a new essential practice that we're taking because of our focus last year on MTSS. This is really incorporating that system into the middle school and that multi-tiered system of supports for academics and also behavior. So we have that new essential practice in our third priority area with our data, our goal, and then our action steps. We do plan on monitoring our entire plan 4 times quarterly, and we're going to be updating our progress on the 3 priority areas this year right into the Future Ready comprehensive planning tool. So it will all be right there as we continue to grow. That's what we have for the plan this year.
Question?
Nothing to add to it. Let the ladies do
Questions?
the work.
Did a great job.
And Don's like, I concur.
That's right, that's right. What she
He
said.
knows he's beaten. Questions or comments from the board? I look forward to seeing what your interim reports will look like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you use, what measurements do you use for achieving? Is it PASA or PVAS or everything?
Both. Yep. Those are the 2 big ones, and then we have interim assessments that we use between the PSSA administrations, so using the CDT and using some of our other resources that we have. But the PSSA is the achievement, how many kids are proficient, right? And the PVAS is the growth. Are they hitting that 1 year of growth? Which we don't, it's hard. Dr. Metzinger had to write this plan with her team, but we don't get that growth data in until November. So you're writing the plan based on the best information you have, but you really don't get your full picture of your data until a third of the way into the school year.
No, it's 36% of the whole middle school. Is there like particular grade that's lower that you need to focus a little bit more on those students? Do you guys break that down? And do we lose some going to high school? You're gonna be dealing with that in high school.
We are collectively looking at the whole building and really heavily focusing on the priority areas from Tier 1 from all students at the middle school. We do have some data broken down by grade level, and with the data coming in November, there's always an adjustment on students that are now in 9th grade versus incoming from the elementaries. So that's why we're planning to meet 4 times to make sure that we're constantly evaluating and looking at the data.
And I know you say you're looking at the whole school, but are you able to pull out the data just from those students that are considered economically challenged? So we can see whether or not we're closing that gap.
Absolutely, and our goals and our data are outlined by the subgroups in the plan.
Well, I look forward to November.
When I remember the data that came out of the middle school with some of the learning gaps we saw in math and where those grades hit and where they would be now and how some yet may have moved. But it was that like 6th and 7th thing was a big concern. So it's not, I can see where you've targeted that data, some of those data points specifically. So I'm sure we'll all be excited to see some of those growth percentages start to come up. So good job.
Absolutely. Any other comments or questions? Then while you go back to figure out what you want to do, they ask for some of that new budget money for your program.
I put the running list. You know that, it's ready in a moment's notice, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Odell, you have a contract for us to approve.
I do. So as you know, we're in the midst of our website redesign. After we got in to the weeds on that, Final Site, our website provider, came back to us and said, Google Translate, which is what we currently use on our site to translate everything on our website, at some point will no longer be in existence. There is no date, we don't know when, it could be tomorrow, it could be 5, it could be 10 years. So we have a couple of options with our new site. We can continue with Google Translate as we do now, and hope that it stays forever, and when it doesn't, we'll have to come back to you with a contract for an add-on to our website, or we add on to our website now with sort of a third-party bot. It's a translate bot. It's what you've seen kind of on all of them. You go into the bottom of the website, you see a little American flag, you click on it, and then other languages pop up. So it's gonna function the same as we have now, but because we're paying for it, it's gonna be supported. It will never die like Google Translate's going to. So I did some research. We do have a lot of languages in our district, but in terms of translation requests, there's really about 5 to 10 that we get 3 or more requests per year, which is 3 is pretty minimal. So we have 5 where we get 8 or more requests. So I have here a contract proposal for 5 languages to be translated on our website. I was doing a lot of thinking over the weekend, and to me, 5 doesn't seem like enough. So my rep for the company is out, so he could not get me a new proposal for 10. I do have costs for if we want to do 10 languages instead of 5, and then I would then get that proposal to you at next month's board meeting. This is not imminent, we can do a website redesign without it, so it does not have to be a today decision. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. So it's a little bit up to you guys. Do you want to spend the money on 5? Do you want to spend the money on 10 languages? Or do you want to hold on to Google Translate until it dies? Some districts, I've polled everyone who uses Final Site, it's a mix. Some are staying with Google, some are not doing anything, which is not appropriate. We would then be not ADA compliant. And some are going with Weglot, which is what we have the proposal for today.
Is it easy to pop on like
Yeah.
a 6th language?
Yeah. Well, you could do 5 or 5 to 10. They do a range.
They do a range.
Yep, so we could do 5 right now, or we could do up to 10 with a different
So if we
proposal.
approve 5 and we come back, oh, we really
We can
need
certainly
7,
add,
just
yeah.
easily
Mhm.
pop it on.
And it's a pretty substantial jump. It's 1,000 per year for 5 language. It jumps to 4,500 per year for 10 languages, which is a pretty significant jump.
Give me those numbers, it's 5,000.
It's 1,000 per year if we go with 5
Per
languages.
language, right?
For per year, 1,000 to translate
That's
up to
not per
5.
language,
Nope,
that's 1,000
for up to 5 languages.
And what's Google?
4,500 per year to go up to 10 languages.
And what do we pay for Google?
Nothing, it's free.
Nothing. Is the quality better?
For Weglot, it is because we pay them, and so they have a little bit more customer support. Right now, Google, it's just Google Translate, it's free, you don't get any support for it. In terms of functionality, it's end users won't really notice a difference between Google Translate and Weglot, other than the limited number of languages through Weglot. It'll function the same in terms of translation.
Do you get any concerns about the quality of the Google Translate?
I've not heard any issues with Google Translate.
Well, I guess I'm thinking if everybody's happy with it, why switch?
Okay,
Can we swap out a language?
we could pick
of
the
5?
languages, yeah, we absolutely can.
So like in 6 months, we can say,
Yes.
oh, this one's not getting used, we
Yep.
can swap it out.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's a little bit of the benefit to a third party like that we're paying. They'll be responsive to what our needs are.
Yeah, and that's what I'm most concerned about, because even if it's only 3 people,
Mhm.
they deserve to have that translated
Right.
for them.
So
And
we-
so with redesigning the website now, if we stay with Google.
I can carry Google
and
over,
we
yep.
and then we wanna change to this,
Mhm.
does that mean we
I'll
have to
come-
do a lot to the website?
No, that would be a pretty quick switch. I would just come back to you with a proposal in case prices have changed, just a more current proposal. But it's a pretty quick switch. They just add it onto the website in the back end, and once we pay them, it shows up on our website. So in a few years, if Google Translate, or a few months, if Google Translate isn't around, it would be a pretty quick turnaround, pending board approval to get this Weglot added to our website then.
So what is the board's wishes?
And we're not getting any kind of discount right now, correct? Like,
No.
yeah, okay.
No, it's a 500 startup, and then it's 1,000 per year or 4,500 per year after that.
Okay.
I don't personally have a preference. I do know Google Translate will go away at some point, and I feel like we have a viable option when it does. But for now, it's still a free translation that
I
we
mean,
can
my
add.
personal feeling is, let's take advantage, as long as it's like easy to switch over in the future, when it
Yeah.
goes away, take advantage of the free Google Translate for now, and then keep this option in our back pocket and use it when we need to.
And it's a reputable company, Weglot, like they're not going anywhere, so if in a year we need them, they'll be there.
Well,
That
I'm
would
sure
be my
as soon as Google Translator is done, they'll be like, yeah, it went up to 2,000.
Well,
That's true.
that's the
Supply
risk,
and demand, yeah,
that's the risk you
That's the
take.
benefit of trying to lock in.
exactly.
But
This is how
this
we-
would just
you
be
can roll the
year
dice or-
lock-in anyway, correct?
It's a 5-year,
Oh, it's a 5-year
Mhm.
lock-in?
Yeah.
Okay, at $1,000
correct,
year.
yep.
Okay.
I personally like going with this, but that's my,
I'm sorry.
I personally like doing this because Google, sometimes they give you a year warning, sometimes it's, oh, by the way, we ended this at midnight.
Yeah,
So,
I think that 5-year lock makes it sound different too, doesn't it?
Plus, having support is big. I'm fighting with Google now. It's very nice to have a person to talk to.
and those other languages above 5 can still use Google Translate for now, so we don't have to pay up to the 10.
And other districts did say that they have families that just never even use their website they have different software they have or just different programs that they use, so they may not even be using our website translation function at all.
Are they aware they can request us to provide it?
Yes, and that's where I got a lot of my data from, was who has requested translation outside of the website, just needed an interpreter or a document translated, and that's where I came up with all the numbers for the number of translation requests we have.
What's your recommendation?
I would go with the WeGlot for 10 languages. I think we can do 5, but we've got quite a handful of 3, 4, 5, 6 requests that would fall in the 5+ category. But it's, it's not my money to spend, so.
We have a specific request for approval for 10 languages.
And I can get you that contract next month, so we can table the approval today.
I'd say table, let's look at 10.
And
As
I
you
can-
said initially, that might be 4,500
It's 4,500. I have the pricing, I just don't have a proposal.
Would that be for 5 years plus the
Correct.
500 startup?
Yep.
Well, I don't know.
4,500 a year.
A year.
Yeah,
I
for
don't know
5
that we
years.
need to go to approve that tonight, so much as simply give you that directive,
Yep,
and we'll vote on it when you bring us the
yep.
contract.
I'll come back with a 10
Yes.
for next meeting, that's fine.
Oh.
For both. Cause I like the 5 languages, using Google Translate until that goes away, and then if we need to increase, pay that higher price at that point and keep it at the lower
I'm
price.
assuming they would prorate it,
Maybe.
maybe not.
'Cause
So
we're-
we can put both
Good
proposals on
customers.
next month, the
Sure.
5 and the 10.
We'll take a look at it then.
Okay, and decide then,
Yeah.
nothing like putting it off, right? Okay,
All right,
all right, thank
thank
you.
you.
Yeah, they have all.
Our last item on this agenda is amending the superintendent's contract. This is something we have to do every year to adjust his goals, or superintendent provided us with goals. I think adjusted them a little. It shows up in the contract 2 places. One is on the evaluation form, and the other is on a section specifically for his objectives. That's a little broader in its explanation. But we do have to approve that. So I would,
If that's the case, I have a motion I would like to make.
thank you. What a
So-
coincidence.
I know, what a coincidence that I have it written down. So a motion to approve the amendment to Dr. Hartman's employment agreement to revise the agreed upon superintendent evaluation form and performance objectives for the 2024-2025 school year.
That's a motion.
I'll second that.
Are there any questions or concerns before we vote?
Repeat it.
We would have to have a roll call for this.
Mr. Hurst?
Aye.
Mrs. Kafka?
Aye.
Mr. Talley? Mr. Gensel?
Aye.
Mr. Eby?
Aye.
Ms. Trowbridge?
Aye.
Mrs. Fisher?
Aye.
Mrs. Groff?
Aye. You will notice that there was a slight adjustment in one of his goals and action plans, but basically it's the same as what we've seen. Are there any questions about the finance and operations report? Or the curriculum and instruction report? Do you have any federal funds?
We have federal funds, I have nothing to report on federal funds. It's all
Yeah,
same.
you're right. Okay.
Nothing.
Board reports. The IU report is posted. I will tell you, there was a half-day notice for a webinar on the budget. That was today at noon. Yeah, I found that a little strange myself, but nonetheless, there you have it. I would add that one of the new things we have coming up legislatively, in addition to what's on that report, is there's a grant they're proposing to help defray the costs of what it takes to initiate a no cell phones in the classroom initiative. Now, I have no idea how much money is going into that. I have no idea how competitive that grant will be or if it will be available to everyone, but that's one of the things that they are working on. The other thing is PSBA has come out with a new guideline bulletin for the Sunshine Act. The last one they put out, I got when I joined the board. And it's now no longer a booklet, it's just loose pages. And they cover Sunshine and Right to Know. They have a new one out. I'm assuming the district would be glad to provide them. If you want a copy, let the board secretary know, and we'll put an order and get everyone, an up-to-date copy of the Sunshine Laws. The IU, what you have there is last month's report. We don't meet this month, nor does the academy, but the academy will be announcing a new program director soon, I hope. Lancaster County Career and Technology Center, any news?
No, not this one.
Okay. Construction team.
So I can kind of go through, you have some of it in front of you, but just the real general stuff. The punch list at Smoketown is nearly done. The switchgear that we were waiting on is coming up Route 83 as we speak, which is a good thing. They said that would be installed next week, and that's a pretty quick process. So that was the one big thing we were waiting on that had a lot of delay to it. So the fact that that's there is fantastic. Teachers were in today setting up rooms and stuff for their switch from old Smoketown to new, which is great. All the guys are playing nice at Leola currently. Demolition's going well. They're doing scans. They did 3D scans of Fritz because they'll be doing that design implement stage here soon before the end of the summer. So we'll start to get some idea of what we're looking at in scope for Fritz. And that's kind of it. Nothing crazy. All good news.
Oh, this is our day for good news, isn't it?
We'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I told you we were due.
Any questions for the construction committee? If not, we will move on to the next opportunity for anyone who would like to address the board on any issue. And of course, we're going to have a vice president's report because Dr. Martin's not here. Any board announcements or initiatives? If not, the dates for next month's meeting are posted. And if there's no concern about those, I will take a motion to adjourn to executive session for legal and personnel issues.
I move to adjourn to executive session.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Is this our last meeting here? Yes. Go for it. We're not gonna have furniture, but we'll just take these furniture. Yeah, we got.
Yeah, take these before we.
We'll take
Ben
them.
said once the switch goes in, they do.
Not that I know of.
Yeah. I think we should.
How about moving from the?
No, they go
Yeah.
deposit.